So, what really shapes a police officer's decision out there on the street? It's so much more than just the law book. There's this kind of hidden architecture of ethics at play, a whole framework of choices that runs from the patrol car all the way up to the chief's office. Today, we're going to unpack the forces that guide police conduct, and we're starting with the single most powerful tool an officer has.
At the heart of it all is this one powerful idea: discretion. It's that space between the black and white text of the law and the messy, gray reality of the street. It's the judgment call an officer has to make in the moment, and believe me, it is their most powerful tool. But, that power immediately brings up a huge question. When is this tool used to build justice, and when does it end up causing harm? That's really the central tension we need to get our heads around.
All right, so let's start on the ground with the individual officer. For them, ethics isn't some abstract classroom lecture. It's a series of constant, high-stakes choices they're making every single day. So what is police discretion, really? Well, it's simply an officer's freedom to choose their course of action. Think about a traffic stop, right? The law might say they can write a ticket, but the officer decides, is a warning enough this time? Or what about a minor dispute? Do they make an arrest, or can they de-escalate the situation without one? That judgment call, that is discretion in action.
And these aren't just rare moments we're talking about. This stuff happens on every call, during every single stop. Every one of these decisions is like a fork in the road, and it can completely change the outcome for everyone involved. And here are the stakes just laid bare. A single discretionary choice can be the difference between promoting justice and completely undermining it. The consequences of that one decision are just immense. Now, when discretion is misused, it can lead to something called selective enforcement, basically applying the law to some people but not to others. And this is where that powerful tool of discretion could become a source of really profound inequality. But here's the thing. An officer doesn't operate in a vacuum. Their decisions are shaped by the next level up, their direct supervisor. And that person, they're the critical link in this whole ethical chain. A supervisor's job is incredibly complex. They aren't just managing schedules or paperwork. They're navigating this constant, high-stakes balancing act between their own officers and their duty to the public. Supervisors are basically caught in this constant tug-of-war. On one side, you've got personal loyalty, that instinct to protect their people, their officers. But on the other side is their professional responsibility, the duty to uphold standards and, correct misconduct. Every decision they make is hanging in that difficult balance. And their impact is just huge. By holding officers accountable, a supervisor reinforces the integrity of their entire team. But by looking the other way even just once, they can accidentally let a culture of misconduct start to take root. Okay, so now we're going to zoom out one more time to the highest level, departmental leadership. The police chief, the command staff, they don't just manage an organization, they are the architects of its entire ethical character. I love this analogy. Think of a leader's style as the ethical source code for the whole department. Their vision, their values, and, this is crucial, what they choose to tolerate, that sets the operating system that everybody else runs on. And we can really see two distinct leadership styles here. First, you've got transactional leadership. It's all about rewards and punishments. Do this, get that. It keeps things running, sure, but it mostly just maintains the status quo. But then there's transformational leadership. That's totally different. It's about inspiring a shared mission, fostering real trust, and actively trying to elevate the ethical standards for the entire department. So we've looked at the officer, the supervisor, and the leader. What's the big takeaway here? How does this all connect? Well, it forms what we can call the chain of integrity. At the end of the day, the core message is this: ethical policing isn't one person's job. It doesn't just rest on the officer on the street or the chief in the corner office. It is a deeply interconnected, shared responsibility. And this is how that chain is forged. It all starts with the officer using principled, fair discretion out on the street. That is then reinforced by active, responsible supervision. And that whole structure is guided by ethical, visionary leadership from the very top. See, every single link is essential. And that brings us to the most critical point of all. If any one of these links fails, if officers misuse their discretion, if supervisors look the other way, or if leaders fail to inspire, the entire chain of integrity is compromised. It just breaks down. So this leaves us with one last, crucial question to think about. If leadership really does set the ethical source code for an entire police department, then what's our role as a community in demanding that code is one of integrity?